Peter, we know him to be one of the most, if not the most outspoken person among the disciples of Jesus. And Jesus forewarned him and told him, see, Peter, you think you can die with me, but let me tell you that this night, before the cock crows 2 times, you will deny 3 times that you have ever known me. And finally, after all Peter's initial gra, he still did it. And Peter was broken. Peter was broken. He felt so bad. He felt that this was his end. He would have decided to say, there is no need again of coming back to Jesus. Let me just continue that way. But he came back and said, no, for the sake of my generation, for the sake of those counting on me, for the sake of those whose lives will be in danger and jeopardy, if I don't rise up now, I will fight and take responsibility. We wake up one morning and find ourselves fighting battles that we never began, paying prices for things we never ordered or bought. And we wonder, whose fault is it? Why should we be facing things like this? Why should we be passing through challenges because of someone's carelessness, wickedness, or negligence? And having fought and nothing seems to come out of it, we feel that the best bet is to resign ourselves to fate. Or, anyway better face we go, we just have to just keep up with the status quo. As it has been, so shall it be, and so shall it continue to be. No, I'm not doubting the fact that my family background is this way, or whatever else that is surrounding me is this way. But I have decided to take responsibility for my life. And for the sake of generation that is coming after me, I won't want them to go through this thing. I will fight till the end. And to take great resolve to fight. And this fight is known as rewriting history. Like we previously discussed, life can decide to give us an unfair disadvantage. We wake up one morning and find ourselves fighting battles that we never began, paying prices for things we never ordered or bought. And we wonder, whose fault is it? Why should we be facing things like this? Why should we be passing through challenges because of someone's carelessness, wickedness, or negligence? And having fought and nothing seems to come out of it, we feel that the best bet is to resign ourselves to fate. Or, anyway better face we go, we just have to just keep up with the status quo. As it has been, so shall it be, and so shall it continue to be. No, it is going to take men and women of responsibility who will decide that, yes, I'm not doubting the fact that my family background is this way, or whatever else that is surrounding me is this way, but I have decided to take responsibility for my life. And for the sake of generation that is coming after me, I won't want them to go through these things. Having passed through the pains of untold battles, having passed through the pains of things that I didn't order for coming to me, I won't want my generation to face the same thing. This battle ends with me. I will end it. And for the sake of the people coming after me, I will fight till the end. And to take great resolve to fight. And this fight is known as rewriting history. That is the message I'm sharing with us, rewriting history. Because there are people in the Bible times who, because of the background that they came from, or circumstances that were beyond their control, went through things, the disadvantages of life, the inequalities of life, the uncertainties of life, that ordinarily if they were to go by what they are going through, they would never have amounted to anything. But they decided that, come what may, I'm not the one who is responsible for what is happening to me now, and I cannot decide to allow it to keep me down. I will rise. And they made decisions. They took steps to see to it that they rewrote the histories of their life. We're going to look at some of them. And I believe that as we do that, we're going to see how your life can be changed. There is still hope for you. Because this is a message of hope to someone who has felt that by reason of what I've gone through, by reason of the things I've done, by reason of things that were even done before I was born, I can't amount to anything. That's a lie from the devil. And you can totally amount to something if you decide to take this step in writing history. Remember that your life today will be your history tomorrow. We look at Rahab today, and we see that Rahab already, based on the inequalities of life, wasn't even going to amount to anything because she was a prostitute. This is something that no one is, really, really, proud of. And if you check out even in our world today, there are most people that delve into things like this. If you really check in, you will see that most of them didn't really want to do it. But because of their background, because of maybe economic hardship, because of maybe things that were beyond their control, they just had to do it to survive. Who knew what was Rahab's story? And she was involved in that. Meanwhile, when the spies came to spy out Jericho, she took them in. She hid them even when the king was looking for them. She began to take steps towards her destiny. She began to rewrite the history of her life and decided that she must take away the shame that has come to her life by reason of what she has become. And for the sake of the generation that is coming after her, she will take responsibility and rewrite that history off. And by saving those spies, she was saved. The only family that was saved in the entire Jericho that ordinarily should have been burnt down. Nobody was supposed to escape. Only her and her family escaped because of that step she took. And in the long run, she was even involved in the lineage that brought about our Lord Jesus Christ. She rewrote her history from shame to honor. We look at Joseph, the man who was born in a family of 12 children, and he was the 11th. And having faced the inequalities of life, being hated by his brothers for no just cause, being sold by his brothers for no just cause, being falsely accused for no just cause. Just take a look and see the life of this man. Everything that happened to him was for no just cause. They were things that happened beyond his control. He continued going through them, leaving himself to God. He would have decided that, I'm tired of this. He would have been bitter. He would have been so irritated with life and say, it ends here and now. Nothing concerns me again. But he decided to continue the fight and press on. And finally, at the end, he became one of the greatest leaders in Egypt, the greatest world of his time, the greatest country in the world of his time. And through that leadership, he was able to save his family and his nation and the world at large from death and extinction. He rewrote history from slavery to leadership. We look again at Moses, the man who was born in a very dangerous time after the time of Joseph, where all the boys who were born were dangerous species because they could be killed at any point. But going on from there, we see that even though he was taken into the family of Pharaoh through the daughter, he decided that this is not where his life was, because he saw his people and how they were in pain, in slavery and in bondage, and he ran away and later came back to pursue the ministry that God has given to him. But remember that before he came back, when God met him, he talked about how he was a stammerer, how he wasn't good at speech, how he had a lot of vulnerabilities and things that were not going to make him to be a good leader. But God gave him the empowerment. God told him that you are more than you know. And he decided to rewrite history and went back and became a savior for the people of Israel. He rewrote history from slavery to leadership. We look again at Jephthah. Jephthah was a man who was born out of wedlock. He was born of a prostitute. And his half-siblings said, you cannot have any share in anything that concerns us, be it land, be it property, be it whatever. He pursued them out of their hometown. But later on, when they were faced with danger, they came back to Jephthah and asked him for their help. And he told them, if I help you, am I going to be taken to be the leader of the people? And they said yes. He would have decided and said, since they've pursued me, that is it. I cannot do anything again. I can't amount to anything again. Even when the opportunity came to him, he would have decided and said, I don't want. People can go wherever you are going. You have traced me out, and that is it. Resigning himself to fate. But he said no. He would take responsibility and fight for his life for the sake of generation coming after him. Him being born of a prostitute was not his fault. It was something that was done before he even came into the scene. And because of that, he cannot decide that he's not going to rise because of something that wasn't of his own making. He decided to rise and stand and fight for his people. And he became a leader. This was somebody that was taken from rejection to redemption. He rewrote history from rejection to redemption. David, the man after God's own heart, who was taken into the bush to look after sheep. Even the time when Samuel came to anoint the sons of David, of Joseph, of Jesse, you know, he was purposely removed from the list. But mercy found David, and he was able to become the king. Even after being rejected by his own family members. Even after he was pursued here and there by Saul, he decided to take the responsibility and fight for what God has rightfully given to him. Him being the last child was not his making. Him being taken as someone that cannot amount to anything good was not his making. He would have resigned to fate and allowed everything to go that way. But he stood up and became a king after mercy found him and rewrote history from rejection to redemption. Peter, we know him to be one of the most, if not the most outspoken person among the disciples of Jesus. And Jesus forewarned him and told him, see, Peter, you think you can die with me, but let me tell you that this night before the cock crows 2 times, you will deny 3 times that you have ever known me. And finally, after all Peter's initial gra, he still did it. And Peter was broken. Peter was broken. He felt so bad. He felt that this was his end. He would have decided to say, there is no need again of coming back to Jesus. Let me just continue that way. Just like what happened to Judas. That's the difference between him and Judas. Judas decided that that is where his life is going to be and continued like that till the end. But he came back and said, no, for the sake of my generation, for the sake of those counting on me, for the sake of those whose lives will be in danger and jeopardy, if I don't rise up now, I will fight and take responsibility. And he came back to Jesus. And he became one of the greatest leaders of the early church. And we keep on mentioning his epistles and the things that he did, the miracles that he performed and achieved, even after going through that thing. He wrote in history from brokenness to restoration. Paul, the great apostle, who was actually Saul before becoming Paul, who went about breathing up threats against people of God. When Stephen was being killed, he was the one holding the clothes of those who are martyring Stephen. He went about taking letters from the high priest to go to different places and arrest people who were followers of the way. But finally, Jesus met him on that way to Damascus, and he encountered Jesus. And his life was entirely changed. He would have decided to continue that way he was going and think he's serving God, only to find out later on in the life to come that he wasn't doing anything that related to God. But as God found him, he took up what God gave to him. And then he wrote in history from brokenness to restoration. I'm speaking to someone who has gone through things, who has faced situations beyond his or her control, beyond his or her making, and has felt that this is my life now. Nobody can tell me anything out of this. This is how my life is going to be forever. No! Rise up. Take responsibility. Even if it is addictions, even if it is your family background, even if it is a disability, even if it is whatsoever, you can name it. There is nothing that will not be captured in this. You can take responsibility and rewrite history. God will help you to do so. You can do it. Yes, my brother, you can do it. Yes, my sister, you can do it. Rewrite history and make sure that your life, your family, and generation after you will bear the benefits of what you have done. Please don't fail to like, subscribe, comment, share, and tell someone about how this video has blessed you, and bless them with the video itself. God bless you as we get into the next message.